It started with the sound of the espresso machine, that short, stuttering hiss that broke the morning quiet of the cafe. I'd been coming here every Saturday for months, always around 9, same seat, same coffee, mostly to fill the space between waking and realizing I had no one waiting for me. She was usually there first, by the window, facing the street. A navy cardigan, hair half up, half careless. She always read something without finishing it, pages folded like she meant to come back but never did. Her name was Clara, though I didn't know that until later. Back then, she was just my friend's mom. She'd sometimes glance up when I ordered, a small polite smile, like we were regulars in each other's routines. Once, I said good morning. She said it back, voice softer than I expected. The kind that carried even when it shouldn't. Don't think I noticed her that way at first. It was more like noticing warmth in a room you'd always thought was cold. I'd see her pull out her phone, read a message, then set it face down. She'd stare at the cup like it was asking something of her. The way people do when they're trying not to think. Sometimes, she'd forget her reading glasses, squint at the menu, and I'd offer to help. It's the same as last week, I said once. Hazelnut latte, half sugar. She'd smiled. You remember. I shrugged, pretending it wasn't a big deal. But I did remember. I remembered everything. The mug she always chose, chipped on one side, the way she stirred before sipping even though the foam was already gone, the faint scent of rain in her hair that morning in March. Don't you have classes today? She asked once, looking at me over the rim of her cup. Not today. And friends? I laughed quietly. They're mostly busy. Or moved away. She nodded, as if that made sense to her. That happens. The silence after that wasn't awkward. Just kind. Like neither of us gonna fit again. Some days, I'd catch her watching the door before I came in. Just once or twice, never long enough to call it anything. She'd lift her eyes when I passed, smile that same small smile. I'd nod back. The space between us stayed polite, careful. But there was a shift, small imperceptible, when she began asking if I'd eaten. When she'd push her muffin toward me, saying she wasn't hungry. When she'd start a sentence with, "You remind me of," and then stop, smile faintly, shake her head. Last week, she said some be with someone your age. She said, eyes on her coffee, voice steady but not cold. I folded my napkin in half, then again, my hands moving without reason. Maybe, I said, but that's not who I want. She looked at me then, really looked. Not the kind of glance that slides away politely. It was like she was trying to find a version of herself that could believe me. The silence stretched so long I could hear the clock ticking near the counter. Then she smiled. Soft, tired. You shouldn't say things like that. I mean it, I said quietly. She took a slow breath, eyes lowering again. When I left, she was still sitting there, untouched cup, fingers around the mug like she was holding on to something warm that was already cooling. By the time I got home, I saw her name on my phone. A message I hadn't expected. You forgot your jacket. Come get it when you can. I hadn't left my jacket, and she knew that. I told myself I wouldn't go that day. But I walked past her house anyway. Slow, like maybe my feet hadn't decided yet. Her porch light was on though it was still early. Through the window I saw her moving around the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, hair tied back. Something about it, that domestic ordinariness, made her feel both unreachable and too close at the same time. I didn't knock, I just stood there until she noticed. She did, eventually, her brow lifting like she wasn't sure if she should smile or frown. Then she opened the door. You came for your jacket, she asked, voice quiet. I guess, I said, you could have kept it. Her lips twitched. I didn't want to. She made tea. Chamomile, I think. The kind that smells like something you can almost remember but not quite. We sat at her small kitchen table. The ticking clock again, softer this time. I noticed a stack of unopened mail, a photograph half hidden under it, her younger, standing beside a man with kind eyes and a distant smile. Your husband asked before I could stop myself. She said. A long time ago, She didn't elaborate, and I didn't ask. But something about the word long hung between us. Stretched out, heavy. She turned the conversation back to me.
You and Daniel still talk, Daniel?
Her son, my old classmate. The reason I met her in the first place. Not much, I said. He moved out west. We text sometimes. That's good, she murmured. But her tone said she missed him more than she let on. I wondered if I reminded her of him sometimes. Not in appearance, but in the way I filled the quiet spaces he left behind. Maybe that was what made this so dangerous or so natural. I couldn't tell anymore. We talked about nothing. Groceries, the weather, her broken garden tap. But in between, something shifted again. She brushed past me while reaching for the kettle, her arm grazing mine. Just skin barely. Still, it felt like the room tilted. I helped her fix the tap after that. An excuse to stay. She held the flashlight while I knelt by the sink, the beam trembling slightly in her hand. You don't have to do this, she said softly. I don't mind. I know, she said. That's what worries me. The water ran clear again, the drip finally stopped. I wiped my hands on a towel, trying not to look at her. She was closer than before. Close enough to smell the faint citrus on her skin. She reached for the towel, her fingers brushing mine. Thank you, she said. Simple words, ordinary. But her hand lingered. Just a moment too long, just long enough for me to forget how to breathe right. I looked up, and she didn't move away. Her eyes flicked to my mouth, then back to the sink. I don't know why that moment stayed with me. I'd think later. Maybe because it felt like someone finally saw me. Outside, the rain began again, gentle, rhythmic, like it had been waiting for the silence to fall first. For a week we didn't see each other. I told myself I was fine with that. That space would settle whatever had started to blur. That Saturday came, and my hands still moved the same way. Coffee, keys, jacket. I walked to the cafe before I could think twice. She wasn't there. Just an empty seat by the window, her cup missing from the usual spot. It looked strange, like the morning had forgotten something. I tried to read, but every page felt heavy with the wrong kind of silence. When I finally saw her again, it wasn't planned. I was walking back from the store, paper bag under my arm. When she came around the corner carrying a stack of mail, she stopped first. Hey. Her voice was calm, like the last time hadn't happened. Like her hand hadn't lingered on mine. You've been busy, she asked. Not really. She nodded, looking at the ground. I've been thinking, she said, and then "'Snever good, is it?" We both laughed a little, but it didn't sound real. We ended up in her kitchen again. Not tea this time, she poured water, the safe kind. The kind that doesn't smell like anything. There was a quiet I didn't know how to read. She was careful now, standing across the counter, not sitting next to me. I shouldn't have sent that message, she said finally. You wanted me to come. That's the problem. Her fingers tightened on the edge of the counter. You're kind. And you're kind. Too young to know what kindness does to people like me. I didn't know what to say. So I didn't. The clock ticked again. I could hear the faint hum of her fridge, the sound of my own pulse somewhere behind my ears. She exhaled. Daniel called last night. I blinked. He said he might visit soon. That landed like a weight. The air changed shape. Does he know? No. She cut in too fast. Then, softer, there's nothing to know. Nothing hung there, heavy true. I took a step closer anyway, close enough to see the small freckle near her collarbone. Close enough that she had to tilt her chin slightly to look at me. You keep looking at me like that, she whispered. Like what? Like you already decided something I'm still trying not to think about. Her voice shook on the last word. About for a second, maybe less. She didn't move when I reached up, fingers just brushing her hair where it fell against her cheek. Her breath hitched, then she stepped back just one step. Don't, she said. Quiet, not angry, just afraid of how real it suddenly felt. I dropped my hand, looked at the floor. Okay. She smiled, small, broken at the edges. You should go before the rain starts again. I left, but halfway down the street, I turned back. Through the window, she was still standing there, hand against her chest, like she was trying to steady something that had already started to fall. We ran into each other again on a Thursday evening. The kind that smells like rain but never actually delivers it. She was locking her front gate when I passed by. I wasn't planning to stop, but she looked up at the sound of my steps, and that was enough. "You walk this way every night now?" she asked, smiling just enough to sound casual. "Just when I can't sleep." She hesitated, keys in her hand. "Then walk with me. I could use the air." We ended up circling about nothing important: the neighbor's dog, the bad streetlights, her work. But under every sentence was the same unspoken thread pulling tighter. Her hands were in her pockets, shoulders slightly hunched against the cold. Mine brushed hers once, and she didn't move away. Not right away. "Daniel texted again," she said finally. "Oh, he wants me to visit him next month. Says I've been quiet lately." "You have," I said. She glanced at me. "And you'd know that how?" I didn't answer. She smiled, small, a little sad. "See, that's what I mean. You notice things you shouldn't." We sat on a bench near the park, the one under the flickering streetlight. The quiet wasn't empty, it was full of everything we hadn't said. "I keep thinking," she began, voice low, "about how this looks to anyone else. To him." I waited. "It's not just the age thing," she went on. "It's the closeness. The way you look at me. Like you're trying to make me remember something I can't afford to." "I'm not trying," I said. "It just happens." She exhaled, a sound between a sigh and a laugh. "You're too honest for your own good." Even breathing might tip it over. "I used to think," she said after a while, "that once you reach a certain age, nothing surprises you anymore. You learn how to keep things small, manageable. But then someone walks in and you forget the rules." She stopped, rubbed her hands together like she was cold. "And I can't afford to forget." I turned to her. "Do you really think this is something we can just pretend away?" She looked at me for a long time. Really looked. Like she was measuring the cost of every word. "Pretending is safer," she whispered. "Is it?" Silence. The kind that stretches until something breaks. Then she said, almost to herself, "You make me feel like I missed something I was supposed to have." I felt the words hit, quiet but deep. Without thinking, I reached for her hand. Just lightly. Enough for her to know I heard her. She didn't pull away this time. Her eyes flicked to mine, and stayed there. A moment hung between us, trembling, suspended in air. If one of us breathed too hard, it would fall. Then she said softly, "What are we doing?" And I had no answer that didn't sound like a confession. She stopped coming to the cafe. At first, I thought I'd just missed her. Wrong time, wrong day. But after a week, the barista noticed too. Asked if she'd moved or something. I just said, "Maybe she's busy," and left my coffee half finished. Her absence made the mornings feel stretched, like someone had pulled all the sound out of the air. I told myself not to care. That maybe what happened on that bench had been misread. That hand on hers, that look, that almost. But every time I passed her house, the porch light was off. Curtains drawn, the mailbox seat. 2 weeks later, I saw a car in the driveway. A man was standing beside it, older, sharp in posture but not in expression. He was helping unload a suitcase. When she came out, she looked different, softer but also closed off. Her smile when she saw me across the street was polite, practiced. "Hey," I said. "You've been gone." She nodded, setting a hand on the car door. "I went to see Daniel." "Oh," she hesitated. "That's him. The man you saw." I waited, unsure what kind of answer she was giving me. "Hayes, someone I used to know," she added. Then, with a quick glance away, "We've been talking again." The air shifted. I didn't see her photos go da. I text sweat unsent, or maybe I just never wrote them. I'd type her name, stare at the blinking cursor, then lock my phone again. She was giving me distance. Or maybe she was just reclaiming hers. Either way it worked. Out a week later, she appeared at the cafe again, about corner this time, alone but quieter somehow. When I walked in, she looked up, startled. Then smiled faintly. You disappeared, I said. You noticed? I sat down across from her before she could stop me. I didn't mean to, she said. Things got complicated. Because of him. She didn't answer. Instead, she traced a circle on her cup with her fingertip. Sometimes the past doesn't stay where you left it. I wanted to ask what that meant, I didn't. Instead I said, did you miss me? Half joking, half hoping. Her eyes lifted. There was no smile this time. Just something quiet and raw. Don't ask questions you already know the answer to, she said. When she left, she touched my shoulder, brief, almost final. Outside, her car drove off before I finished my drink. I didn't follow, just sat there, watching the cup cool, thinking how silence could feel so loud. That night, I typed a message. If this is you trying to end something, at least let me understand what it was. Then I deleted it. I didn't feel heartbroken. I felt paused, like life forgot to finish the sentence. It was late when I saw her again. Porch light on, kitchen window half open. I almost kept walking, then I saw her silhouette move across the room. The way her hand lingered on the edge of the counter. I don't know what I thought I'd do. Fix something maybe. Or just stand there until it stopped hurting. Before I could decide, she opened the door. Like she'd been waiting. You shouldn't be here, she said. But she didn't close the door. I know. Her voice softened. Then why are you? I didn't come to ask for anything, I said. I just wanted to know if you were inside. The kitchen was warm. A kettle on the stove, faint smell of chamomile again. Same table, same ticking clock. She gestured for me to sit. I did. I didn't plan to disappear, she said quietly. I just didn't trust myself to stay. I looked down. Was it because of him? She shook her head. No. It was because of me. She poured the tea, her hands trembling slightly. You think you're doing something harmless, talking, laughing. But then you realize you've started to look forward to it. That it matters when it shouldn't. Her voice caught. And that scares you, because you're not supposed to want anything anymore. I didn't interrupt, just watched her fingers curl around the mug like she was trying to hold on to her composure. I wasn't trying to make you want something you shouldn't, I said. I know. She smiled, faint and tired. That's what made it worse. We both laughed softly, though it wasn't funny. Do you ever think about that day? I asked. The bench. Yeah, she nodded. Every time I passed that street. We sat in the quiet that followed. The kettle clicked as it cooled. Somewhere outside, a car door shut. Then I told myself you'd move on, she said. This would become one of those small, strange things that happen between people who never meant to find each other. Maybe it will, I said. Eventually. She looked up, and for once, didn't look away. You're good at pretending you're fine, so are you. She reached across the table, her fingers finding mine this time. Not hesitant, just honest. I wish I met you when I was your age, she whispered. I wish time didn't care so much. Her thumb moved gently against my hand, once, like a small apology that didn't need words. We sat there like that, no promises, no plans. Just the sound of rain begin again outside, soft, steady, as if it had been waiting for us to stop speaking. When she finally stood, she said, "We'll be okay, won't we?" I nodded. Yeah. It was half truth, half hope, but it was enough. She smiled, small, real. Okay. It's been almost a year since that night in her kitchen. The rain had stopped by the time I left, but it never really left me. We didn't see each other for a while after that. Not out of anger, just the kind of distance people give when they're trying to be kind. I focused on school. She took on extra shifts at the clinic. Our lives drifted into quieter orbits like two planets that had learned how not to collide. But even then, I'd see her sometimes. At 84:07 a.m., walking to her car, coffee in hand, same chipped mug. Or at the cafe, alone again, reading something half finished. Sometimes she'd look up and catch me watching. The first few times, we both pretended not to notice. Then, one morning, she smiled. Just a small, tired, good kind of smile. That was enough to start again. Now, on Saturdays we still end up at the on Saturday at first, but near enough to share the same silence. I order black coffee. She orders her hazelnut latte, half sugar. Once I brought her a thermos. She laughed. Still think I forget. Maybe I just wanted an excuse, I said. She looked at the thermos for a long moment before taking it. Then it's a good one. We don't talk about that night, or the messages I never sent, or the things we almost said. Instead, we talk about the garden, the new neighbor, the cafe's new barista who never gets her order right. The air between us is different now, softer, steady. Like we finally stopped trying to name what it was. Sometimes I still walk her home. The streets look smaller these days, familiar in a way that feels earned. One evening, we paused by that old bench under the flickering streetlight. It had been repainted. The wood smoother now, lighter. She smiled at it, then at me. You remember this spot? Every time I pass it. She nodded, a slow exhale. Feels like a lifetime ago. Maybe it was, I said. She sat down first, patting the space beside her. Then maybe this is the afterlife. I laughed quietly, then joined her. The silence settled between us like a blanket, not cold, not tense. Known these say it, and she doesn't need to ask. We just exist in the same frame. Tea and coffee cooling between us, time moving gently, like it's learned how to be kind too. Sometimes she reaches for my hand when no one's around. Just once, just enough, and that's all it ever needs to be. I got her now. I don't think of the almosts, I think of quiet mornings. Open blinds, the sound of the kettle starting to hum. And I think, maybe this is what peace looks like when it finally arrives.